Welcome into another episode of Betting the Pitch. This is episode number 169. Nice. Happy we made it this far. Thank you for the support. Whether you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star review. If you're on Spotify, 5-star reviews would be great as well. And if you're on Twitter, follow me, the real_G Warner. Hit that smash that like button. Hit that follow button, whatever we're doing. It's early on Friday morning here, the 17th of February from Dallas, Texas, and we will be going through the top 5 European soccer leagues and trying to find some moneymakers this weekend. It was a long week with Champions League, Europa Conference League, all that sort of stuff. Had a really good Europa League day yesterday, hoping to keep that going, especially into this weekend. All lines quoted in this podcast are courtesy of betonline.ag, my favorite place to get my bets down early. Reduced juices offered in almost every game you want to bet right up until game time. Please follow the link found in the podcast description to fund your account and use the promo code GW50 to receive a 50% match bonus up to $1,000. So now you've got some extra money in your account. Let's figure out where we're going to make some extra money. As always, going to go through the top 5 European leagues, as I already said. The English Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, the Bundesliga, and then finally Ligue 1. I'm going to pick out a best bet for each of the leagues that we're covering, and then an ultimate best bet, which you can find on Instagram. Also, of course, if you keep listening to the podcast, don't skip through though, because I think you want me to talk through each match. Everyone seems to like it, / that's what everyone seems to want me to do. Not stopping that. Also, we'll give a podcast promo code for pregame.com if you're looking to get early access to my picks, or of course save some money on anyone else on that site. As I look for the podcast and I don't see the promo code, of course. Oh no, got one. Okay. So that'll come later in the show, so stick around. And I guess without further ado, might as well get into the Premier League because that's where the money is. So we have no Friday match this weekend, but we do have a Saturday full slate, starting with Aston Villa hosting Arsenal. Arsenal coming off the loss midweek to their nearest challenger, which then put Manchester City on top in the English Premier League. Not a great sign from Arsenal. Didn't play very well, I thought. Showed their youth, showed their nerves. The Tomiyasu substitution in for Ben White was puzzling at the beginning and then looked way worse when he sold his goalkeeper short and essentially gave away the first goal. I would imagine Mikel Arteta goes back to Ben White for this one, but also this is a big test for Arsenal to see kind of where they are, how they respond to these type of setbacks. They still have one game in hand, so they technically could be ahead of Manchester City and certainly could do so in the early match on Saturday. But this is put up or shut up time, and it's a concerning time for the Gunners for sure, or the Gooners, as some might say. Aston Villa, on the other hand, have been really struggling. Unai Emery seems like he's inherited a team that was built by Steven Gerrard and really just built by the board that suffered some really bad injuries at center back. They've been trying to figure out what to do there. It hasn't been working. And normally Unai Emery's stall out defense worked fairly well, even when he's a much inferior team. It has not worked for Aston Villa lately. They've been shipping goals, and that's a big concern. Currently, Aston Villa a half a goal underdog at home. All the juice on Arsenal right now on the road. Over-unders 2.5, juice to the under. I feel like it's really tough to trust any sort of under here with Aston Villa. Arsenal should be pretty pissed off, pretty motivated, should be out there trying to score immediately. Aston Villa has shown a little bit more goal scoring under Unai Emery, not really where I expected the team to head, but not a great team situation for Aston Villa right now. So I don't really have any interest in the half a goal at home. Might climb to 3/4 by the time this kicks off. I would guess it will. And don't lean to under because I can't trust their defense. Moving next to Brentford hosting Crystal Palace. Currently Brentford a half a goal favorite with all the juice right now. Over-unders 2.25, juice to the over. Seems a little short for Brentford, though. I think this is about where I had it. Crystal Palace has been really struggling. Look like a team that should be fighting relegation for a long time. Can't score goals, can't really defend very well. Got a ridiculous draw last weekend. I thought pretty undeserved, though their defense was a little bit better, only conceding one I think it was at home to Brighton. Brentford, on the other hand, no idea what's going on with the Ivan Toney suspension, but when he's in there, they are great. They are really solid. They look like a team that could threaten for Europe, never mind avoid the drop for a second straight season. I lean to under 2.25, if anything, but Brentford have been scoring a ton, and I don't really trust Crystal Palace. I think to the point that I do not really see a lot of goals coming from Crystal Palace. They've had real trouble scoring on the road going back years, it feels like. I guess that's under 2.25 is probably the best one for me in this area. But even then, I feel like that is just hoping for Crystal Palace not to make mistakes on defense. And Brentford have shown that they can score goals. Brighton then hosts Fulham in what should be a great matchup. And this is actually the first time I'm going through lines, so you can all see my reactions right away. I hope I kept that one if you're watching on video to myself. But Brighton, a 3/4 goal favorite to Fulham right now, makes no sense to me. Very juiced too, all the juice on the Brighton side. Over-unders 2 3/4, juiced a little bit to the under. Fulham are a better team than this number says. I've been betting Fulham a lot this season. I feel like it's worked out very well for me and my family, non-existent family that is, but whatever. I guess parents and sisters is the best I can do. But Brighton, a pretty tough draw in their last matchup, thanks to Roberto Sanchez just not being able to catch a ball, or Robert Sanchez. Not sure if that's an anglicized version of his name. Anyway, he's Spanish. But Brighton, I haven't been a believer. They've been flying in the table, playing really well, doing things under Roberto De Zerbi that he's never done in his career: defend, not go crazy to score goals. Fulham are going to tempt him, though, because Fulham's going to want to play out, run as far as you can, run as fast as you can. They can get stretched a little bit, but their defense has been a lot better than I think anyone would have expected. They keep putting up points. These are two of the darlings of the English Premier League that have played really well, far surpassing expectations. I'm looking for Fulham to hit +1. If it does get there, I will be playing that. I also lean to the 3/4 and think I will play that too. Everton, a 1/4 goal favorite right now. Surprised to say that. Over-unders 2.25, juice to the over against, and they're hosting Leeds United. Leeds, I think, still trying to figure out what to do with themselves. Everton, they have Sean Dyche, so we know what they're going to do, but pretty poor performance against Liverpool in their match last week. Seeing Everton as a favorite is something that I'm very interested in going against. I'll put it that way. But how do you trust Leeds at this point? It's really hard to. Very juiced, and this one might fall to pick them and take this kind of off my radar. As an underdog, I think going against Everton is of interest, but they did get a win against Arsenal, whether they're leaking oil or not. And Sean Dyche, we know what he's going to do. He's going to play really great defense, try to get a goal on a counterattack or some sort of advantageous situation. Leeds certainly offer that. They've been playing a little bit more conservatively because there's no way to play as aggressively as they did under Jesse Marsch or under Marcelo Bielsa before Marsch. I guess I lean to under 2.25 anytime that Sean Dyche is the manager. You lean under. Felt like I got a pretty undeserved under win on Everton's match in the Merseyside derby against Liverpool. But we'll move next to Nottingham Forest hosting Manchester City. Currently Forest a 1.5 goal underdog at home. Over-unders 2 3/4, juice to the over. Man City with a great performance midweek. They do have Champions League on the horizon. I think they're trying to win both those competitions almost equally, probably a little bit more to the Champions League than they are to the Premier League. Nottingham Forest is trying to play conservatively and trying to stay in the league. I have some interest in Nottingham Forest getting a goal and a half at home. I don't think that Man City is by any means fixed. I think their goals were served on a silver platter, essentially, by Arsenal. Certainly credit some of Manchester City's pressing for it, but I don't necessarily think that they are a solved problem. I still think that Man City is one of the best teams in the world, but going on the road with a look ahead to the Champions League that matters to them does make me feel like this could be a little bit closer than the experts predict. So I do like that 1.5 on Nottingham Forest. It probably should correlate to an under 2 3/4 lean as well. And there is some more safety there, especially if Nottingham Forest don't score. It's been really hard for Man City to keep clean sheets. Everyone in FPL is clamoring about how they got to get rid of their Man City defenders because you don't get the bonus for the clean sheets. They haven't done it in a while, but I think their play has kind of deserved it a little bit more than you would expect. So you might see an uptick there. And I guess you are sort of backing Nottingham Forest if you're playing the under because you want them to hang around, but I think at home should be a pretty big crowd effort behind them. So I lean to that under 2 3/4. Chelsea then hosts Southampton. Chelsea a 1.25 goal favorite, -116 right now in Bet Online. So all the juice, as there's a little bit reduced juice there already on the Premier League. Great to see. Need more of that in the casinos everywhere in the world, especially in the US, the legalized ones. But here in Texas, I don't have access. Who cares? Over under is 2.5, slightly juiced to the under. And where do goals come from in this matchup? I mean, Chelsea with such a good performance at Dortmund, but ultimately got nothing from it. Gave up a goal on a counterattack. Incredible move by Karim Adeyemi. Cost me a bet for sure. Cost Chelsea a really good feeling about themselves. And nothing has gone right for Chelsea. I'm kind of surprised Graham Potter's still around with how quickly they change managers. I don't think he should be fired, but just he gets sacked. That's like the Chelsea MO, modus operandi. Southampton did sack their manager. We're going to bring in Jesse Marsch, but somehow it didn't work that out. I'm hoping that they have someone in a caretaker position that's going to go in there and play defense the whole time, because I like under 2.5 there. I don't know where goals come from in this matchup either way. It is a little bit backing Southampton on the road. If you're playing under, though, for them to be competitive, and maybe when they're up a man and up 1-0 with 82 minutes to go, they don't concede twice. That was a brutal loss in the under last weekend, but that's the way I lean. I'm not necessarily scared off of it just yet, but we'll see. Wolves then host Bournemouth. Currently Wolves a 3/4 goal favorite. Also with all the juice right now, over under 2.25. I don't see goals in this one. Wolves as a big favorite is refreshing to see. I haven't seen that in a while. I think just Bournemouth, looks like they've done a little bit better on corner kicks recently. The zonal marking was awful, and they were leading the league in corner kicks conceded. That probably was a counting stat rather than an efficiency one, because they give up a lot of corners. They don't have a lot of the ball. They play counterattacking football. But Wolves haven't proven they can score goals, and we got a huge win last weekend. But I still don't necessarily believe that their offense is clicking or anything like that. Juice to the over, so we might see a 2.5 before this kicks off, and that would be my lean. The nightcap on Saturday, Newcastle hosting Liverpool. Currently Newcastle a pick'em, a little bit more of the juice, over unders 2.75. And Newcastle are too cheap here. I mean, they are a much better team in their current makeup than Liverpool are, and they should be getting treated like that. Over under also seems high at 2.75, because it is juiced to the under, but ultimately Liverpool are just not the same team. I'm not getting scared off that opinion by a win over Everton, who are just circling the drain trying to survive. Newcastle, it's hard to trust their offense, I'll admit. And I feel like I've been winning their unders, not necessarily deservedly, for a while now, but it's hard to get off that train. I think they're going to restrict Liverpool quite a bit. I think this is a big rivalry derby type match, going back years and years and years. Newcastle certainly haven't been at the same heights as Liverpool, but this is our chance to get something. I think the fan base, as always, in the top of England will be nuts. And I think it's going to be a really tough environment for Liverpool to go in and get something, which does unfortunately make the under seem a little bit more perilous. But especially if this gets up to 3, I think it'll definitely be on my card. Just Newcastle unders have been the gift that keeps on giving. Moving to Sunday, Manchester United, a 1-goal favorite at home against Leicester. All the juice on Leicester getting that +1. Over under is 3. There should be goals in this matchup. We'll see what the road trip to Camp Nou and a draw against Barcelona did in Europa League. Manchester United, I thought, played really well, deserved more. How they didn't give a red card on the challenge on Marcus Rashford on the breakaway to Koundé was incredible. But I won't start the referee complaining, because I will never stop. Leicester, on the other hand, playing a lot better. Now that it seems like Jamie Vardy is not in the rotation, at least, or not starting. Huge for Leicester to move forward, and they're climbing away from the bottom of the league, which is huge for them. It's going to be tough for Manchester United to get back up, because they also have Barcelona again at home on Thursday. I feel like this is a week of trying to gauge motivations and potentially seeing a lot of rotation, as teams are still prioritizing this league, but also the continental competitions. And that's a hard thing to do for anybody, especially teams that aren't perfect. Manchester United are not perfect, but I think that +1 is essential. I would not be interested in Leicester if I lost it. Juice currently looks like you might lose it, so I might want to, if you like Leicester, probably play that +1 now. I think that +1 is more important than a +1.25 if there's some drastic lineup change or something like that with line movement. I doubt it hits 1.25 before this kicks off. Lean to over, but don't really love overs, especially with tired teams. And last but not least, Tottenham hosts West Ham. Tottenham a 0.5 goal favorite with almost all the juice right now. Over unders 2.5, juice to the over, got all the juice there. Tottenham in an exact same situation, lost 1-0 in Champions League at Milan this week. They're going to have to turn that around, and I wouldn't be shocked if they're focused on that. I don't love West Ham getting less than a goal, just because I don't think they're very good. But at the same time, the under 2.5 does give you a lot more leeway. Tottenham are still going to play a defensive brand. West Ham don't want the ball either. So it's going to be two teams that don't really want the ball playing a match for 97 minutes or whatever with stoppage time. I don't see 3 goals there. So I lean to under 2.5. For my best bet for this episode, or for the Premier League portion of the episode, I'm going to go Fulham getting 3/4 of a goal. I think they are just as good as Brighton, really, and would love to get +1, but don't have that yet, so won't be able to give it to you all right now. Now I'll move to La Liga. We have a Friday match today. Girona hosting Almeria. Currently, Girona a 0.5 goal favorite. With all the juice right now, over under 2.5. Almeria seems like a very similar team to Girona, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me that they are getting a 0.5 goal. That usually tells me I give 1/4 goal for home team, plus it's also juice to the home favorite. So we might even see 3/4 goal here. I don't see the difference between these two teams. Makes me, I have had a few plus 3/4 goal losses by single goal, which returns half of my risk. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but still don't like losing, of course. I don't really see a huge difference between these two teams. So Almeria are interesting, especially because there are basically no goals being scored in La Liga this season. Real Sociedad then hosts Celta de Vigo. Sociedad, a 3/4 goal favorite. All the juice on Celta de Vigo on the road. Over-under is 2. Very juice to the over. So we might see 2.25 by the time this kicks off. I think my worst loss last weekend was Celta Vigo at home against Atletico Madrid. Also one of the most painful ones because I've despised Atleti. But I feel like I've had a pretty good year betting against them because they've been so bad. I guess one was deserved to give away, but Celta Vigo up a man and some ridiculous deflection got the ball right into Memphis Depay's feet, as the ESPN or American broadcasters were saying how disappointing he'd been. Hilarious that he then puts one right in the net right there, right after coming on. But Celta have been playing better. That was a setback for sure. And now they go to Sociedad, who have been the 3rd best team in the league, if not 2nd best. I feel like they are on Real Madrid's heels, and I think I'd like them if they played Real Madrid. Hopefully they do soon before Real Madrid gets healthy and figures things out. Celta Vigo, they haven't been a good defensive team for a long time. They are maybe a little bit better of a defensive team now. Their goal scoring is a little bit dried up because they've unfortunately had a lot of changes in their team, and they've really changed kind of who they are. Personnel wise, Denis Suarez just moved to Espanyol because of some sort of disagreement with the extension of a contract of another player that was represented by the same agent. So that's tough. But ultimately, I like Celta. I feel like they're playing a lot better right now. And I feel like they're a team that I can back. You go through stages with them because their defense can be really problematic, but getting 3/4 of goal is pretty large. I think I want the full 1. So I probably lean more to under 2.25 as a way, a derivative of backing Celta Vigo. But until we get closer, and I really want a 2.25 because I don't have that just yet. Real Betis then hosts Real Valladolid. Currently Betis a 1 goal favorite. Over under is 2.5. Valladolid's been playing really well. Their +1 is extremely juiced right now, so we might lose that. That's a concern. But you could also say, while Valladolid are playing so well with these new transfers in, Real Betis have been kind of struggling, treading water, not really doing a lot. I don't really know that. Normally with Betis matches, I don't really like unders, but I do like this under here because they haven't really been scoring. The defense is okay. Real Valladolid is not a team that's built with a ton of money or cash, despite Ronaldo's ownership. I don't know that Brazilian Ronaldo, by the way. I don't know that this is going to be a match that sees a lot of goals, which makes me lean under and also to the underdog, especially when you get the full goal of insurance. I think a Real Betis 1-0 win is very possible, which would push your play on Valladolid right now, though it's a very juiced +1, and win you're under 2.5. Both very interesting to me, and might hear about that one later. Mallorca then hosts Villarreal. Currently Mallorca 1/4 goal underdog at home with all the juice. Over under is 1.75. Very juicy to the over, but too low for me to even really consider at this point. Mallorca have not been playing great. I'll put it that way. But they are facing a Villarreal team who have essentially given up on the season. Can't say that for sure because they still are in Conference League and got a bye, blah, 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 for winning the group. But they've sold off so many pieces. Their goalkeeper now plays for Ajax, I believe. Rui who had just won the World Cup, and I thought he had an extremely long delay getting back to the team, but apparently he popped up in a roster yesterday when I was doing some research. I was like, oh my God, completely missed that. My bad. But they sold off on Arnaud Danjuma back to Tottenham. They're moving a bunch of pieces around, and once Unai Emery left, the floodgates opened. Now they're a favorite on the road. They've been playing so poorly. Lost at home to Rayo Vallecano, lost to Barcelona last week. Almost tied it up late, but didn't. And I just feel like that setback emotionally, especially from thinking they equalized, is really brutal. They might not have because it was offside, but Mallorca need a result here. They've played so much better at home. Even on their post-game press conference, their player that they made available end of match, I forget which one it was, but was saying, our road form's been bad, but we've been playing really well at home. And I think they believe that, and it's the truth. So I like that quarter of a goal on Mallorca at the moment. Osasuna then hosts Real Madrid. Currently, Osasuna a 3/4 goal underdog at home. Over-unders 2.25. I think if anything, the closest lean for me is the under here, just because I need a full goal of insurance to back Osasuna. They are a good home team, but doesn't look like that +1's going to pop, especially because it's a very juiced 3/4 right now, even all the Real Madrid money and the huge win against Elche midweek. But I do like the setup, considering they play Liverpool midweek next week in Champions League, and that's a big deal for them. Especially, I guess it's more of a revenge thing on the Liverpool side, but still something to consider, I think, and a spot that I'd like to be, because Osasuna's defense, they've been trying to cover for some injuries and some stomach problems and things like that. I had a good under last weekend. I think it was goalless, so love those with no sweat. Chimi Avila is still a terror out there, and I love the guy, and I think he can cause Real Madrid some problems, which is something you definitely need. Moving to Sunday, Elche hosts Espanyol. Currently, Elche a pick'em at home, over-unders 2.25. Where do goals come from in this one? I mean, in a league like La Liga, it's, of course, the under 2.25 is juiced, but no goals are scored in this competition, really. Elche with a really tough result midweek against Real Madrid, expected though on the road at the Bernabeu. Espanyol, on the other hand, they came back from a 3-0 deficit, played really poorly for long stretches of the match with Real Sociedad at home, got back into it and nearly got a draw late. I feel like they're going to have to focus on defense. Though against Elche, I guess you're not really as worried about them offensively, so you're probably pushing forward a little bit. I think Elche are just going to sit back and try to defend this whole time. They know they're not good. They know their defense isn't good. They've been playing a lot better and trying to climb up the table, but they're so far adrift that good luck. I mean, they're still fighting. So if you're still fighting, I can still back you essentially with playing an under. So that would be my strongest lean for that match. Rayo Vallecano then hosts Sevilla. Currently, Rayo a quarter goal favorite right now. All the juice on Sevilla. Over-under is 2, and that makes sense. I think Sevilla are a bad team. I think under 2, if anything, is the strongest lean for me, just because Rayo Vallecano want to sit back and counter. Sevilla haven't shown much offensively, so I don't really know what to believe with them. They had to play PSV Eindhoven at home at the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan this week on Thursday, so they got a quick turnaround. The European Thursday commitments that then Sunday matches are brutal on all these teams, so they are one that I don't think could sustain it. A lean under, if anything, but I'm not sure I'm in love with much there, though Sevilla might have to rotate quite a bit. Lo Spade got hurt this weekend, or this midweek, so who knows what that lineup's going to look like. Atletico Madrid then hosts Athletic Club Bilbao. Currently, Atletico a half a goal favorite. All the juice on the road for Bilbao. Over-under is 2.25. So I lean to dog and under here. It's nice to see Nico Williams getting on the score sheet for Athletic Club. Goals have been a real problem for them, though, and so I feel like that probably pushes me more towards the under 2.25 than the +1/2. I don't know that Athletic Club are likely to go in and get a win in the Wanda Metropolitano, but I think, as you heard early on this podcast and every podcast, if you tune into them, I'm not a believer in Atletico Madrid, and I want to be against them. Last on Sunday is Barcelona hosting Cadiz. Currently, Barcelona a 2-goal favorite. Of course, with that Manchester United second leg coming up, and the money is always needed, especially with their financial situation. So I think that does take some precedence. Cadiz playing better, but this is a tough spot for them to go into. They have had, I think, some good results in the Camp Nou in the past, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll end up seeing how that all goes. I think Cadiz +2 is of interest to me. I think I'd lean more to the under 3, because if they're covering 2, they're probably not scoring. They're hanging in there. And I do like that, I guess, that push on 3, but I don't know that that is close enough to being talked about too much on this episode. Moving to Monday, Getafe, as I rock their jersey, this probably is the first Primera Liga team or jersey that I have that might potentially go down. Trying to keep all my kits in their top divisions, but who knows? Getafe look very, very dangerous. But they're hosting Valencia, who are also fighting relegation right now, and I think are in one of the relegation spots or places right now, if I'm not mistaken. Getafe, a pick'em right now, split juice -110 both ways, over 1 3/4 juice to the over. There's not a lot for me to do there because I don't believe in either of the teams to score, but I don't believe in the Valencia defense. I certainly don't believe in the Getafe offense. I think if one of these teams moves to a favorite, I like the other one. But right now, it's probably an appropriate pick 'em, and I doubt we even really get there, I guess. For my best bet for Spanish La Liga, I'm going to go with Mallorca getting a quarter of a goal at home. I think they're a better team right now than Villarreal at home. And at home, they've been playing well and have confidence there. Now we'll move to Italy, Serie A. We have a Friday match, Sassuolo hosting Napoli. Napoli with Champions League match coming up midweek, I believe, at Eintracht Frankfurt in Germany, if I'm not mistaken. Hang around, Bundesliga is coming next. Sassuolo, 1-goal underdog at home right now. It's Napoli. Very juiced, as it probably should be. Over-unders 2 3/4, juiced a little bit to the under, surprisingly. These are 2 over teams. It is over or bust for me on this one. And unfortunately, that also means that if there are lots of goals, I don't like +1. I don't think there's much value. Sassuolo have been playing really well, though. Got to give them credit there. Who knows? Can Napoli end that streak? If they can't, then Sassuolo is probably a team we want to back on the road next week. But for now, I'm scared enough of Napoli that I just don't want to mess with them. And I think they'll have some urgency to try to end this one early so they can get ready for Champions League midweek. Moving to Saturday, Sampdoria hosts Bologna. Currently, Samp a quarter-goal underdog with all the juice right now at home. Samp have been playing pretty well. They got a nice draw against Inter in their last matchup. Over-unders 2 1/4 in this one, juiced heavily to the under. I just don't believe in Bologna scoring. So it hasn't really changed. They've gotten some results where they've found some goals miraculously. I just don't necessarily believe that they will get more of those. Samp are a tough team to back right now. Came out that their manager is like beefing with Sabiri, one of their best young attackers. Not great. Need as many of those on the pitch as possible, but I like the idea of fade Bologna. I don't believe they should be a road favorite, and I don't think that they can score a lot of goals to push this one over. I don't really love it at 2, but I guess I'm interested there anyway. Monza then hosts Milan. Currently, Monza a quarter-goal underdog at home. All the juice on Milan. Over-unders 2 1/4, juice to the over. Monza score goals. That's what they do. Their defense is not great, but they do pull out some results that I like. And I got to say, as a home dog with Milan focused on Tottenham, or coming off the Tottenham victory, huge for them. 2 straight victories, considering they were playing so poorly for a lot of the season. I don't know necessarily that I believe that, because I guess because the Champions League, they don't play for another 2 weeks, so that maybe that's not as big of an impact, and probably should have been said in the Tottenham portion of this episode. But I think Monza with a rest advantage is a very live dog at home. I've not been a fan or really enjoyed watching Milan, what they've done. I guess I've enjoyed watching because chaos is something I enjoy because I'm a sicko. But Monza plus a quarter of a goal is something very interesting to me. Inter Milan then hosts Udinese. Currently, Inter a 1-goal favorite with almost all the juice right now. Over-unders 2 3/4. Udinese played a little bit better at home last weekend, but still have not really gotten out of the block since the World Cup break, which they went into playing really well. Inter are not really a team that I love. I like being against them, but has not been very profitable for me in my lifetime. So they score goals. Inter do. I'm not sure that they're always deserved, but they do get them. I think Udinese, I'd need to see them do something before I trust them here, ultimately. Moving to Sunday, Atalanta hosts Lecce. Currently, Atalanta a 1-goal favorite, over-unders 2.5. And Atalanta is not a team I can play unders with. Very disappointed I didn't play them as an underdog last weekend. They controlled the match. I think it was at Lazio. Lecce have not been as great since a pretty good start to the season. I don't necessarily think that they're a team that are guaranteed going down, but they need to start improving their performances. This is a really tough matchup for them going on the road to Atalanta. I feel like a 1-goal underdog is a little bit cheap for Lecce, so not a lot for me to do there. 2.5 is the over-under. I think I'd lean over, if anything, though Lecce don't bring a lot of goal scoring to the fold. Fiorentina then hosts Empoli, a 1-goal favorite. All the juice on Empoli on the road. I lean to the Empoli side. I think they're better. Not better than Fiorentina, but they've been playing really well. It's hard to argue what they've been doing. Did have a tough loss last week due to a red card, then got down to 10 men each and then tied it up. I mean, incredible fight from Empoli and something that I think I can believe in. The over-under is 2.5, juice to the over. I don't trust Fiorentina to score. It was what looked to me like a pretty dead under in their Conference League match yesterday and Thursday. But then red card happened for Braga. I don't really understand how it was overturned to a red card, but I guess just officials, especially Spanish ones, just continue to mystify me. Lean to Empoli with that +1. Also lean to under, but I think it's hard because I don't know that Empoli games have been as low scoring as I would have expected. I guess they've been lower scoring than they were last year, which is maybe better for under 2.5 than that +1, especially if we lose that +1, as it looks like we might. Fiorentina coming off a pretty big match, Conference League. We got another one on Thursday. They're in really good shape with a 4-0 victory. So they probably take this match more seriously and then rotate a little bit more for their Thursday Conference League match. But that's also tough on 2 days rest to really get going in an early match on Sunday. So lean to Empoli +1, lean to that under 2.5. Could play both. And those are generally big plays for me if I like under and underdog. Salernitana then hosts Lazio. Salernitana, a 3/4 goal underdog, over under is 2.5. Hard to really trust Salernitana to score right now, but Lazio have been really bad, especially compared to their awesome run until the World Cup. I don't think you can blame the World Cup on it, but just things haven't clicked since then. I don't know that I really love Salernitana until they get to +1. They're not there yet. Over under is 2.5. And I don't know really what to say. Lazio have not been scoring a lot of goals. Their defense was really good to start the year, but it's not been as good since. I think maybe the odds are back. I think if anything, if I had to make a pick in this one, I'll go Salernitana under 2.5. As I think that it's gonna be hard to score 3. Spezia then hosts Juventus. Spezia 1-goal underdog at home with all the juice right now. Over under is 2.5, juice to the under. Sounds like a broken record, but I like the dog and the under. I think the Spezia side, I mean, they played really well until they got the second red card in the match last week that put both teams at 10 men, and then they held on for dear life and literally almost didn't even draw despite a 2-0 lead up a man. I think Juve had a really wild matchup yesterday. Oh my God. If you didn't watch that, please go put on Paramount Plus, or if you're watching in another country, whatever you use to watch, if you can watch it later, because the Juve match was awesome. Don't understand the decision made by a referee to not give a penalty in the 97th minute or so. I won't say more than that in case you do want to watch, but awesome match both ways. Juve played a pretty good side. Chiesa is looking a lot better, coming back in, really linking up with Dusan Vlahovic as the former Fiorentina teammates are finally kind of linked up and doing something together. I do think that going into the Spezia match, though, they are on 2 days rest, or really 1 day rest. They have to look forward to a trip to France next week and everything to play for there. So could see some rotation. I think Juve have kind of chosen to take the other competitions more seriously than the Serie A because of the 15-point deduction that is being talked about every day, it seems like. I lean to Spezia getting the full goal at home. Might like the under 2.5 a little bit better. This is one that has some big time risk that Juve doesn't play a full team. Roma then hosts Verona. Currently Roma a 3/4 goal favorite, juiced fully to the Roma side. Over under is 2.25. And I've been against Verona a little bit since this World Cup break. They did a lot of work in the transfer market, apparently, kind of under the radar with some unknown players, and it's working. They're playing really well. They've won, I think, 3 out of 5, something like that, picking up points, I think, in all of them. They're maybe the form side in Serie A, which is incredible to say. I guess that's what it probably is. But Verona playing a lot better. Roma coming off a really disappointing loss late at Salzburg, and then have to come around. Thursday's big one coming up. Quick turnaround. I sound like a broken record, but that's going to be a big deal for a lot of these teams. Roma's been better, I think, defensively than offensively this year, but they got to win this match handily. I'm waiting for Verona to hit +1. Don't have it yet, but certainly we'll keep an eye out. And moving to Monday, Torino hosts Cremonese. Torino, a 3/4 goal favorite with most of the juice. Over under is 2.25, juice to the over. I don't know where goals come from in this one. Cremonese, you can't trust them to score. Torino can can't even pass the ball into the net. So I'm not really sure what to believe in that one. Probably a skip for me on Monday, as sad as that sounds. As for best bets, I'm going to go and try to pull on to Monza, who I think are a really competitive team, getting Milan on a quick turnaround after a big Champions League match, now going on the road. I'll take Monza getting a quarter of a goal. Might see that hit a half of a goal by game time on Saturday morning here in the US. Next, I'll move to the Bundesliga. I got 2 matches left to go. Ultimate best bet, of course, coming. Friday match, we have Augsburg hosting Hoffenheim. Currently, Augsburg a pick'em. A little more juice on the Hoffenheim side. Over unders 2 3/4, juice to the over. Hoffenheim, they replaced their manager, brought in Pellegrino Matarazzo. We'll see how that goes. Supposedly a decent manager, but got sacked at Stuttgart after 2 years of really not doing much. A lot of it last year was based on injury, but this year, not a lot of excuses there, I don't think. Hoffenheim are a team I want to be against. They're a bad road team. They haven't done well. They're sucked into some relegation battle, which never was going to be even thought of, as everyone thought they were a European team coming into the year, started the year really well. I like Augsburg. I don't really like saying that because they're a tough team to back, but I think at home that's the only place to really back them. And Hoffenheim as a road favorite doesn't make a lot of sense, though pick 'em right now is pretty short. Moving to Saturday, Borussia Mönchengladbach hosts Bayern München. Currently, Gladbach a 1.5 goal underdog at home. Over unders 3.5. Bayern probably a little bit disappointed. Got a win at PSG thanks to a late nullified goal. They're probably not in love with their situation right now, but coming back home, and they got a win at the Parc des Princes, so that's huge. Gladbach has been a really tough team for Bayern, but they just bought their goalkeeper. So, things have changed a little bit in this matchup and this dilemma, this dynamic. I think Gladbach are going to play a counterattacking style at home. I think that works and makes sense. They finally get to be a team that get to play on the counter because they've been a favorite in the last few matchups. We'll see kind of where that goes. The problem is over under 3.5 is really high and suggests a lot of goals, and that makes 1.5 goal underdogs less valuable. I lean to Gladbach, but I'm not sure if they'll make it onto my card because fading Bayern is not really my cup of tea, and it's a good way to go to empty your account, unfortunately. Stuttgart then hosts Köln, a quarter goal favorite. Stuttgart are at home. I don't really believe that. See it, agree with it. Over under 2.5, which is low, especially because Köln matches have not really had a lot of goals lately, but they are a front-footed, counter pressing, like get in your face, up the pitch type squad. I think they're going to beat Stuttgart up. They're still young, still pretty. I don't know. Their physiques are not developed. Maybe you say. Maybe it's just a young team and they're inconsistent. I don't know. There's lots of Stuttgart problems. They hired Bruno Labbadia, who is like great at putting big clubs in relegation danger, and he came into a team that's relegation fodder right now. I think in the playoff spot right now to go down with the third place team in the Schweizer Liga, the second Bundesliga in Germany. Stuttgart should not be a favorite, I don't think. So I might even play this before I finish this podcast at this point. I think Köln have been playing really well. I like their setup. I like their desire. I think they match up really well with Stuttgart, and Stuttgart as a favorite is someone I want to be against. Bochum then hosts Freiburg. Currently, Bochum, a quarter goal underdog at home, over unders 2.5. And Bochum have been an awful defense on the road. I feel like they kind of did okay based on that statement at Bayern last weekend. Meanwhile, Freiburg have been really inconsistent since the restart, and we'll see what happens with them. But I lean to Bochum at home. They've been so good there, winning a ton of matches, getting a quarter of a goal. A draw wins you half a bet. I don't know that I necessarily love the under 2.5 because I've actually played unders instead of Bochum and lost them. I guess I probably shouldn't remember that or think of that so clearly, but it's vivid in memory. So that's what we got. Freiburg are basically a team that have kind of overperformed who they were expected to be based on their roster, and that they're a selling club that basically as soon as their players get good enough, they get bought by Borussia Dortmund, for example, and other teams. I do think that this is going to be a tough matchup for them. They're going to go on the road and have to play a really good match to win, and they're required to by the line. So I like Bochum getting that quarter. Next, we have Wolfsburg hosting RB Leipzig. Currently, Wolfsburg, a quarter goal underdog. Leipzig with a Man City Champions League match on the horizon. Could be look ahead if there ever would be one. I do think that Leipzig will prioritize the Bundesliga, though, so they'll be playing a full lineup here. But I think second half, they'll probably be minds will be drifting towards Champions League. Over unders 2 3/4, juice to the under. Leipzig are not the same offense on the road, not the same team on the road. So I lean to Wolfsburg getting that quarter of a goal at home. I think I like that. I guess along those lines, I should also like the under 2 3/4. I don't know that Leipzig's road offense is really something to fear as much. So I guess I'll put both these in the card, thinking a little bit more about it by the time plays come out on Saturday. The nightcap Saturday standalone match is Eintracht Frankfurt hosting Werder Bremen. Eintracht with a big look ahead to Napoli coming up, but they also think they're in the Bundesliga Meisterschale race. So that's something to consider. I do like the full goal of insurance on Werder Bremen. They were, I thought, outplaying Dortmund last week and then lost 2-0. Just add another one of those just brutal losses to my ledger. But anyway, I'll stop complaining. I think Werder Bremen go in here and then a really good spot to be disappointed with the result last weekend. Frankfurt would probably feel the same way with the loss themselves, but there's a lot going on in the Frankfurt camp. The Europa Frankfurt is something big to them, and I think it's something to pay attention to. Lean to both Werder Bremen +1 and under 3. Now moving to Sunday, Union Berlin hosting Schalke. Union, a 1-goal favorite. I thought deserved to win. Had a really tough chalked off goal for a handball in the Europa League on the road at Ajax, but Schalke are going to be going on the road, holding on for dear life to a point. That's kind of their MO right now. They did get a win last week, which was huge, but they're still adrift. Lean to under 2 1/4, I think closest, because Union don't want the ball. They're going to play defensively. They're trying to get themselves and keep themselves as well and ready as possible for European competition, though they have prioritized the Bundesliga in the past. I just don't think there are a lot of goals in this one. I think both teams are trying to keep a clean sheet. Next we'll go Borussia Dortmund hosting Hertha Berlin. Dortmund, a 1.5-goal favorite, over unders 3 1/4. I think I'm just done with Hertha Berlin unders. I'm done with Hertha Berlin. They got a big win last weekend, but I don't believe in them whatsoever. And Leverkusen, a 3/4 goal favorite to Mainz, over under 2 3/4. A really tough loss for Leverkusen to take this week on Thursday, yesterday against Monaco. If anything, I think that makes me feel like Mainz might be a better look as a play here, though I would like a full goal of insurance because Leverkusen could still score goals. And Mainz, I don't really trust to score. On the road, it's tough to back the team that can't score. I don't know that I necessarily like under 2 3/4 with a team like Leverkusen that don't really defend. So for my best bet for Germany, I'm going to go with FC Köln getting a quarter of a goal at Stuttgart. I just feel like that number also, you might want to jump on that sooner rather than later because I don't know that will be around for too long. Last but not least, we have Ligue 1 in France, and we'll go through that one, then give an ultimate best bet, summarize the best bets from each of the leagues, and then get out of here. Thanks, of course, for listening. Friday, we have Angers hosting Lyon. Currently, Angers, a 1/2 goal underdog at home. Over-under is 2.5. Pretty low total for a Lyon match, but I think that's based on Angers not really being expected to score. I think I need more than a 1/2 goal to back Angers because Lyon have been playing better. The injury to Lacazette, though, is a big concern. We'll see if he makes the squad. Moving to Saturday, Nice hosts Reims. Currently, Nice a 1/4 goal favorite with almost all the juice right now. Over-under is 2 1/4. That's pretty respectful for Reims. I mean, they've been playing really well since Will still got appointed, but Nice have been playing better, I feel like. And I don't know necessarily that. I feel like that's a pretty low total as well. Nice's offense has been great. I don't know if there's much for me to do with that one on the early one on Saturday. Strasbourg then hosts Angers. Crazy nightcap match on Saturday, but I guess that's what happens when you have Champions League and European competitions because these are two teams in a relegation battle. Strasbourg currently a 1/2 goal favorite, over unders 2 1/4. I don't see a lot of goals in this one, to say the least. I think Angers are given a try to stay in the league. They keep getting lines that make them seem good. I mean, I've bet against them as a favorite. I feel like every time they're at home and they never cover. So that's nice. Though they survived a late penalty in stoppage time last week when the guy hit the bar from Angers. But neither of these teams look like they can score goals. Strasbourg playing better, trying to escape relegation, but with 4 teams going down, I mean, they're in big trouble. Lean to under 2 1/4 in that one. PSG then hosts Lille on the early one on Sunday. PSG a 3/4 goal favorite with all the juice. Over under is 3, all the juice to the under. Lille have been playing great. I don't know that there's enough for me there at 3/4. I do want a +1 if it pops. I think PSG are a team to bet against right now. I don't know the status of Kylian Mbappe. However, Lorient then a 1/2 goal favorite to Ajaccio at home. Over-under is 2.25, juice to the under. Don't know where goals come from in this one. Lorient, finally, I'm starting to see a little bit of where the marketplace has just really disrespected them for the whole season. It's a different situation now because they've sold off a bunch of players. Terrell Murphy left for Nice. Ajaccio, I think, are going on the road trying to go goalless. So under 2.25 looks best to me there. Brest then hosts Monaco. Currently, Brest a 3/4 goal underdog at home. Over-under is 2.75. Monaco with a really good performance on the road. Looks like they had a bunch of injuries, so we'll see who's available considering it's a one-day turnaround, and they got to get it ready for Leverkusen coming back next week. Brest is we're not great in their last matchup, and but they're on my card a lot. I like them a lot, and we'll see if they get to a +1. That'd be really nice. I just don't know that I could play unders with Monaco because they're so strong offensively, though they're going to have to rotate a little bit, I think, because this is a quick turnaround. Rennes then hosts Clermont Foot. Rennes a 1-goal favorite. Over-under is 2.5. I just can't trust Rennes. They can't win any matches, especially on the road. It's nice that they're at home here. But Clermont Foot have not scored in a while, but I thought it played really competitively. That was another tough loss on them last weekend against Marseille. Just ridiculous officiating, getting punched in the head on a clear miss by a goalkeeper trying to punch the ball, punch the head instead, and no review was even done. It's just ridiculous. Then a penalty given to Marseille. I mean, just a comedy of errors, I think, by Liga officiating in that one. Unfortunately, I hate being on the wrong side of it, but it is what it is. I don't know. Over/under 2.5, juice to the under. I just don't really trust Rennes at this point, which is disappointing because they're playing so well early in the year, really until the Terrier injury. Troyes then hosts Montpellier. Troyes a pick'em, juiced mainly to Montpellier on the road. Troyes not playing well. Montpellier had a good win last weekend, but I don't believe in them whatsoever. Over-under is 2.5 upon Montpellier, which is hard because they don't defend really. They score a bunch of goals. They're an all offensive team. Troyes' defense has been really problematic. I don't know, not a lot for me to do in that one, I don't think. Lens then hosts Nantes. Currently, Lens a 1-goal favorite. Over-under is 2.5. And they get a very injured, banged up Nantes team that was like fighting just to even get into the starting lineup against Juve. Had a bunch of injuries in that one. Castelletto went down, I think, a second straight match. Palois was injured for a lot of the match. Everyone's wearing wrapping on their legs. Not a great situation. I imagine they rest for this one. And Lens are the heavy beneficiary of that. If anything, I like under in this one, under 2.5, but it looks very dangerous to even think that way based on the injury situation at Nantes. And last but not least, we have Toulouse hosting Marseille. Currently, Toulouse a 0.5-goal underdog at home, and I will lean that way just because I don't really believe that Marseille have deserved their results really for a lot of the season. I guess at some point I should just start saying that's okay, but I don't really believe it. Over-under is 2.75. Lean to over because most of these teams want to score goals. Toulouse are not going to be defending too much. Which does make me feel a little bit concerned about being the inferior team at home that's trying to defend. But I think my best bet for Ligue 1, I'm going to give Ajaccio on the road at Lorient under 2.25 as my best bet there. So we've reached the end of the show. I'll get you a promo code from pregame.com. Of course, my soccer stuff is coming out, getting that out the night before, sometimes afternoon before, if I can think about it and get it all in there. But use the promo code CHAMP20, 20% off for all listeners of the Soccer Podcast. Good for 7 days from the podcast release. You can use it to get my college basketball picks, which have been on fire lately. And soccer stuff not too far behind as well. CHAMP20, CHAMP 20% off. Anything at pregame if you want to see some other picks out there, if that's something you're into, jump right in there as well. And now it's time for the ultimate best bet. Let's see if I can get the TikTok camera on, or not the TikTok camera, but whatever it's actually called. Come on, phone. Like, let's do something here, please. Okay, video is on. For now, what everyone has been waiting for. Let's go. Okay. This is the real_G Warner on Twitter, on Instagram. Also, this is Betting the Pitch number 169 for my best bets for this episode, February 17th, covering the weekend in the European soccer leagues. I like Fulham getting 3/4 of a goal in the English Premier League. I like Mallorca getting 1/4 of a goal in Spain. Monza getting 1/4 of a goal at home in Italy. Köln getting 1/4 from Stuttgart on the road in Germany. And Ajaccio under 2.25 in France. For my ultimate best bet for this episode, I'm going to go with FC Köln getting 1/4 of a goal from VfB Stuttgart in Germany. It is a road match, which is not great. It's heavily juiced at the moment. But it's a number I don't want to let get away from me. I think Cologne are a better team that are a lot more mature, have a better manager, and Stuttgart just seem like a disaster right now. I like betting against disasters. So take Cologne getting a quarter of a goal on the road, and you might see them get a win in Stuttgart. And that'll do it for this episode of Betting the Pitch, number 169. If you're on Twitter, hit the follow button, _G Warner. If you're on YouTube, please hit subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, leave a 5-star review. Any reviews, any sort of nice things you want to say, I'll read them on the podcast that come out next time. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will talk to you next week as we get ready for more Champions League, Europa League, all that sort of stuff. And of course, you'll see a bunch of tweet storms this weekend. Talk to y'all soon.